No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. Well, we're going to figure out what it means. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between clearance and approval based on Nano-X Imaging's newest development, which is that it received FDA clearance. So let's talk about the difference between the two, and let's go over some definitions and terminology that may help decide between whether clearance is a good thing, whether approval is a good thing, what this all means, and what it means for the company and the stock. Hi Raylinaires, Supergirl Investor here to save the world and make you wealthy. This question comes from one of my Twitter followers. Thank you so much. And he was asking about the difference between clearance and approval. And I absolutely love talking about this because there is definitely a very big difference. Now, this was first talked about in one of the Apple products with the Apple Watch. It's known as a Class 1 or Class 2 product. So they did not need to go through FDA approval, but we will get over that and get over the definitions. Just please hit that like button if you find this helpful, and of course leave a comment below if you have any questions about crazy terminology, because the stock market is crazy and investing is crazy, and I know that there's a lot of words that are a little bit confusing. You know, there's mixed shelf, there's clearance, there's orphan drug designation, whatever it may be. So just let me know in the comments below what you would like to learn more about the stock market, and as always, what stocks you would like for me to discuss. So let's get into this. Now, clearance is when a medical device is cleared. This means it has undergone a 510(k) submission, which FDA has reviewed and provided clearance. Approval: for Class 3 medical devices to be legally marketed, they must undergo a rigorous review and approval process. Following a successful submission of a pre-market approval PMA or humanitarian device exemption HDE, the device is given approval by FDA. So after all of this is finished, either clearance or approval, it is available in the US market. So either one is really great. So this is great news that Nano-X, for example, got clearance, because it means that now they can market in the US. So it talks about a 510(k). Now, what is that? Is that like a 401(k)? Not quite. Each person who wants to market in the US a Class 1, 2, and 3 device intended for human use, for which a pre-market approval application PMA is not required, must submit a 510(k) to the FDA unless the device is exempt from 510(k) requirements. Essentially, you have to provide the 510(k) to the FDA, and it's either if you have a Class 1, 2, or 3 product, the device to be marketed as safe and effective, substantially equivalent to a legally marketed device. Submitters must compare their device to one or more similar legally marketed devices and make and support their substantial equivalence claims. So basically, this 510(k) form is a document that's submitted to the FDA for clearance, which means commercialization in the US market. And it basically says that this product is safe, it's effective, and it's similar to another product that's out in the market. Now, in Nano-X Imaging's case, they have an X-ray imaging machine that's similar to the traditional methods and devices. However, they're using it to make it more cost effective and make it global, so people around the world can access X-ray imaging. And one of the first steps in the process is to make it available in the US, because 2/3 of the population do not have access to X-ray imaging currently. So basically what Nano-X can do right now is commercialize the product, and it is a similar product to what's out there. If it's FDA approved, it means that the product is unlike any other product, and it has been approved. Now, in Nano-X's case, it is a similar product. However, they are making a 2.0 version. Now, before we get into Nano-X and what they are going to do as far as catalysts are concerned in the upcoming months and next year, we'll go into what is Class 1, 2, and 3. so you know for next time. So Class 1, the US FDA defines Class 1 devices as devices which are not intended for use in supporting or sustaining life or of substantial importance in preventing impairment to human health, and they may not present a potential unreasonable risk of injury or illness. These devices are the most common class of devices regulated by the FDA, 47% of approved devices on the market. Class 1 and Class 2 devices are easy to get clearance for, and they are fast-tracked. They have minimal contact with patients and low impact on patients' overall health. So these are medical devices, however, they're not life-threatening devices. So think of an electric toothbrush, think of a tongue depressor, things like that that aren't really vital to health. Now for Class 2, they're considered a bit riskier because they do affect the patient's overall health. So Class 2 medical devices are more complicated than Class 1 devices and present a higher category of risk because they are more likely to come into sustained contact with the patient. This can include devices which come into contact with the patient's cardiovascular system or internal organs and diagnostic tools. The FDA defines Class 2 devices as devices for which general controls are insufficient to provide reasonable assurance of the safety and effectiveness of the device. Think of it something like catheters or syringes, something where it does impact the patient's health, but it's not life-threatening. Now, Class 1, you don't normally need a clearance, you don't normally need an approval. You can just go to the market in the US whenever you want to. It's the fastest, easiest way to do this, and therefore the least life-threatening. Class 2 is a little bit riskier, so it is a little bit more fast-paced than Class 3 products, which the Nano-X just got FDA clearance for. Now this is a little bit riskier, a similar product, but it is more fast-tracked than FDA approval. Let's go on to Class 3, and as you notice, these get a little bit riskier. The FDA defines Class 3 devices as products which usually sustain or support life, are implanted, or present a potential unreasonable risk of illness or injury. 10% of devices regulated by the US FDA fall into Class 3. Wow. This classification is generally extended to permanent implants, smart medical devices, and life support systems. If we think about products that we need to survive, we think about defibrillators and pacemakers, things like that that are vital to patients. And that's where you need to get those studies done. That's where you need the proper criteria for FDA approval before you even get it onto the market. Clearance essentially has less risk, and it also is a faster way to essentially get FDA approved so you can spend your time in the US market. So let's take a look at what Nano-X is actually doing with this FDA clearance while they are taking it to the market, and let's look at some potential catalysts because I'm very excited about that. And if you want to see the original video that I just posted today, and again, thank you so much for watching all of these videos. I really do appreciate it. I'm here to answer any of your questions, so leave them below if you do have them, and be sure to join the Twitter account because we have a lot of fun and I go over daily news like the Nano-X FDA clearance. So up here somewhere in the stratosphere is where the Nano-X video is going to be if you would like to look at that. So let's look at some upcoming catalysts. We expect to take a multi-step approach to the regulatory clearance process. Plan to submit an additional 510(k) application, which we just learned about, with respect to the multi-source Nano-X ARC, which if cleared will be commercial imaging system. We do not believe the nano X-ray source, the core component of the Nano-X ARC, will require a separate regulatory approval or clearance because the source is a Class 1 device, which is exempt. So we talked about this like the tongue depressors that we were talking about. They don't need to go through that whole rigorous process. If cleared, we plan to deploy the first Nano Nano-X Arc in the second half of 2021. So once this is cleared, the Nano-X will be commercialized in the second half of 2021. And I'm sure demand is huge because it's literally $140,000 less than the average imaging machine. Some other catalyst: CE submission expected in H1 2021, clearance in H2. Majority of ROW countries accept FDA and CE as a reference for local clearance. Other countries will require separate submissions. So they're trying to take this global, and as I said, they're trying to get 2/3 of the population to actually have X-ray imaging available, which is huge. It's mind-boggling that 2/3 of the population have never been able to have X-ray imaging. I mean, just think about that. Think about the things that we have in the US that are completely available to us, and now this revolutionary product will be available to us in the US and hopefully all around the world, so everyone can get early preventative healthcare. This is what we're talking about when we talk about saving the world. So to sum up what we're saying here, yes, it's a wonderful thing for Nano-X. This clearance is wonderful. Yes, we need to know the difference between clearance and approved, but basically the stock should skyrocket on Monday because it is cleared, which is a wonderful thing. It means that the markets can now have this product. It means that it's a really good approved rated. Now, there are semantics and there are differences between them, so thank you so much for the question. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you learned a little bit. If you did, please leave a like, and I love each and every one of you. Go out there, save the world, and be wealthy. Bye, Raylaners. Oh, and one more thing. This stock has 62% upside, so I am very excited for it. Especially on Monday, we saw a huge sell-off when the FDA asked for more research and they wanted more details, but it should climb back up on Monday. If it doesn't, just be patient. This is a revolutionary long-term product. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, and I will see you next time.